Senator Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming, thank you very much for sitting down with us here at the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium.
It's great to be with you, Talia, and I understand you have some Wyoming in your past.
Absolutely. I lived here for a couple of years as I started my TV career. It was my first on-air job, and I'm so thrilled to be back and to be interviewing you, the Senator of Wyoming, here in person. And I want to talk to you about Wyoming because it's no surprise you wanted to participate in the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium, especially given your connection to the state. This is your home state, and you're a big advocate for crypto and blockchain technology in the U.S. Senate. Now, Wyoming is known to be a pioneer in crypto regulation, enacting more than 50 crypto-specific laws. So I'm wondering for your take on why Wyoming should be considered a crypto hub. What are some of the key things that Wyoming was able to accomplish?
Well, states generally are the incubators of innovation when it comes to government policy. They get to try things out, see what succeeds, see what fails, and then can bring them to national attention. And that's what has happened with Wyoming and digital assets. Wyoming was the first state, for example, to pass a special purpose depository institution statute. We have a chancery court, and we've done many creative things. Wyoming also created the LLC. And so we have a long history of being very first in innovation, even in the financial services space.
Now, Wyoming actually landed one of the biggest names in crypto. Kraken decided to relocate its headquarters to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and they mentioned that your advocacy for crypto and blockchain technology was one of the reasons they felt like Cheyenne was a good fit for Kraken for their headquarters. What's your reaction to that, and how do you feel about the fact that Kraken is now here in your state?
Yeah, I'm over the moon about that. The whole purpose for Wyoming to become and embed in its statutes friendliness for innovation in financial services is to attract businesses and to attract jobs. So our young, very educated people can stay in the state and find jobs. In addition, there's a mining component to Bitcoin and a staking component to other digital assets that Wyoming has a friendly atmosphere for. So it is jobs oriented and it's innovation oriented, and our state is friendly to innovation.
I want to actually point to a recent survey. According to the 2025 U.S. Tech Salaries Report by Design Rush, Wyoming saw a more than 6.5% drop in inflation-adjusted tech wages over the last decade. That's the steepest drop of any state in the country. What does that signal to you, and could that potentially deter some top crypto talent from wanting to move to Wyoming?
Yeah, we want to turn that statistic around. The Biden administration's whole approach to opposing fossil fuels was hugely detrimental to Wyoming. Probably the most detrimental to Wyoming and Alaska because we produce a lot of oil, gas, and coal. We export 12 times more energy than we produce. So Wyoming is the #1 exporter of its raw materials. It's time for us to create the electricity and the consumption of the electricity here in Wyoming. So we're doing it for the digital asset space, for the artificial intelligence space, and that we become the place where the energy necessary to have a robust AI competition with China takes place. And that includes artificial intelligence and digital assets.
Now we're here at the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium, a big area of focus, crypto regulation, and last month was a huge month for crypto regulation, with the House passing 3 crypto-related bills. One of those bills, the Genius Act stablecoin regulation bill, was signed into law. So we got our first piece of crypto legislation signed into law, many calling it a watershed moment. How would you categorize it, and what does it signal to the country related to crypto and its priorities for crypto regulation?
Well, we're finally embracing President Trump's goal of having the United States remaining the digital asset capital of the world. We shouldn't be ceding that role to the United Arab Emirates or to Singapore. Even Japan, which is notoriously cautious, has a more robust digital asset regulatory framework than we do, because they're starting to embrace innovation. And it's very important the United States retain that role. So Wyoming has led. Because Wyoming led, I had the embedded statutory framework that Wyoming passed to move into Washington. So we've adapted it to Washington regulatory dominance in commodities and securities, and we're moving forward. So we did stablecoins first. The Genius Act passed. It's now law. And that provided the momentum we needed to do market structure. So the House passed a market structure bill. It's called the Clarity Act.
Right.
We in the Senate are going to mark up in the Senate Banking Committee a market structure bill in September. The Ag Committee will do theirs in October, because they've got the commodities jurisdiction. The Senate Banking Committee has the securities jurisdiction. Then we'll fold them together with clarity and hopefully get this across the finish line by Thanksgiving or at the latest Christmas.
Well, that would be lovely to see.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. We've been working on this in my office with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand for over 4 years, intensely, but couldn't get traction. And the traction came when President Trump was elected, because he's digital asset friendly as opposed to the last administration. So we're finally joining the 21st century.
Now, back in June, the Senate unleashed principles for its version of market structure. You asked for industry feedback. Where does all of that stand right now? When can we expect to see the Senate's version of market structure? And how does that impact the potential for the Clarity Act to become law? What's the latest with that?
Well, now I'm guessing about what's going to happen. But this month, we have been seeking comment from the industry on our market structure working draft. We've gotten an overwhelming response. And I think it's because people know it's going to happen. So they're finally really diving into it, really weighing in. We have tremendous feedback from the industry and a wide variety of participants in this industry. So it's been extremely helpful. I want to thank the industry for taking advantage of the opportunity to weigh in. So we're incorporating their content and ideas into our draft. You will see a very comprehensive working draft from the Senate Banking Committee very early in September. And then we'll begin working on a bipartisan basis to hone through the bill and then mark it up before the end of September in the Banking Committee.
Now, the market principles state that legislation should clearly define the legal status of digital assets, regulation should be modernized, and that regulation should protect those who buy or trade digital assets. What are some of the key points in the Senate's version that people can expect?
Well, the Senate version has something called ancillary assets, which we think is a very clear line legally between what is a commodity and what is a security. We want to do that because, of course, that puts them in different regulatory pockets, with some Securities Exchange Commission taking the security side, which requires a lot of disclosure so consumers are protected. The commodity side is more for digital assets that do not have the indicia of being a security. So that would go to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. So we need to have a robust spot market at the Commodity Futures Trading Commission for digital assets. And so that's what our ancillary assets definition does. I kind of see, Talia, the Clarity Act as being the ultimate base bill because it passed the House with a robust bipartisan participation. We don't want to lose that by messing it up too much in the Senate. So I think that we will use the Clarity Act as our base defer to it when it's a close call in terms of policy, add what we feel is important to add additional clarity to the Clarity Act, and then jurisdiction-wise in the Senate, the Ag Committee has jurisdiction that the Senate Banking Committee cannot interfere with. So we will probably go first in banking. Include a definition that the Senate Ag Committee could use, and then let them go ahead with their legislation in October. And then that way we can combine the whole thing, the House Clarity Act, Senate Banking, and Senate Ag into one bill that passes.
Last month, you introduced a bill for crypto tax policy aimed at addressing digital asset taxation issues. And according to your news release, the legislation is estimated by the Congressional Joint Committee on Taxation to generate approximately $600 million in net revenue during the 2025 to 2034 budget window. Why was it important for you to introduce a bill focused on crypto tax policy? Were you getting demand from industry insiders?
We were. You know, a number of years ago, before the Congress understood digital assets, there was a definition of broker put in the Internal Revenue Code that is completely wrong, and that as it relates to digital assets. And it's really gummed up the works in terms of providing a clear framework for taxation of digital assets. So we want to fix the definition of broker. We want to define what is a de minimis transaction for purposes of using digital assets as a means of exchange. That would be $300 per transaction, $5,000 per year. We want to make sure that there's no double taxation of digital assets, which is the case now. They're taxed when it's mined or staked, and they're taxed again when it's sold. We don't do that to any other commodity. We don't tax gold when it's mined and again when it's sold. So we want to put this on par with other commodities like gold. And then we also have a provision called the wash sale rule to conform wash sales to what fiat currency is. So there's a number of very important sort of level the playing field proposals here.
Also last month, you introduced a bill backing a plan by federal housing lenders to use crypto in mortgage underwriting. You said when you were putting this bill together, you were thinking about the younger generation and the growing number of people who own digital assets. Why was that important for you, and what are you hoping happens with that piece of legislation?
The vast majority of people who own digital assets are people who are also first-time home buyers. And in this environment, buying a home is almost cost prohibitive. What we're trying to allow people to do is when they show their net worth for purposes of qualifying for a loan, that their digital assets be included as assets on their balance sheet. So they have that equity to prove up their worthiness of having a home mortgage.
Obviously, we're seeing a lot of regulatory advancements for crypto here in the U.S. now, but I'm wondering, do you think it's too late for the U.S. to catch up to other regions around the world, including the EU, for example, which was the first to establish a market structure back in 2023?
Well, we have lost some business that left the U.S. To find more regulatory clarity elsewhere. I'm hopeful that we can recruit it back to the U.S. because I'm hoping that our framework is more innovation friendly. And we can do that without sacrificing consumer protections. We can do that while still avoiding providing clarity so that there's no ability to use digital assets to avoid sanctions and address the illicit finance issue. We know we can do that, and of course President Trump, because he's such a America First advocate, then will help bring these industries home.
Senator Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming, thank you very much for sitting down with us here at the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium. It was such a pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise, Talia.